One queen, a test tube, some water, a bit of cotton wool, that's it. That's how ant keeping actually starts. And I know that sounds too simple, but most beginners don't struggle because it's complicated. They struggle because they try to do too much too early. So let's strip this back properly and walk you through exactly how to start this the right way. Before anything else, why ants? Because what you are really doing here isn't just keeping a pet, you are watching a society build itself from nothing. One queen, no workers, no nest, just her and whatever she's carrying inside her. And over time that turns into something genuinely incredible. Thousands of workers, a functioning nest, foraging trails, nurseries, waste systems, a full working system built from a single insect. That's what makes this hobby different. But here's the catch, and this is where most people go wrong. What you see online isn't the beginning, it's the result. And when beginners try to start there, things fall apart. To keep ants properly, you need to understand what you are looking at. Every colony starts with one mated queen. She finds a space, seals herself in and starts laying eggs. Those eggs become larvae, those larvae become pupae and eventually workers. That first generation is called nanitics. They are usually smaller, a bit weaker, because the queen raised them entirely on her own reserves. But they are workers. And the moment they arrive, everything changes. Before that, it's just the queen. And your job during that time is almost nothing. Which sounds easy, but honestly it's one of the hardest parts. Because the full cycle can take weeks, sometimes longer. So patience isn't optional here, it is the skill. There are two ways to start. You either catch a queen or you buy one. If you are in the UK, you usually find queens during nuptial flights. That's when winged ants take to the air to mate, usually on warm, humid days in summer. And when it happens, you will know. They are everywhere. Pavements, walls, car roofs, it looks chaotic. But what you're looking for are the queens that have already landed and are starting to remove their wings. That's the moment. That's the beginning of a colony. When you collect one, just do it gently. A small container is enough. And once you have her, get her into a test tube setup as soon as you can. Catching your own queen is honestly one of the best parts of this hobby. You are not buying something finished, you are finding the very start of it. If you miss that window, buying is completely fine. You can start with a single queen or even a small colony, both work. Just make sure you are buying from somewhere reputable. If you're in the UK, start with Lasius Niger. There's a reason almost everyone recommends them. They are native, so they handle the climate well. They are hard as nails, they are predictable, and most importantly, they teach you what normal looks like. That matters more than people realise, because when something feels off, you need to know if it actually is. There are other options, but for a first colony, simple is better. One thing you do need to understand though, not all queens behave the same way. Some queens are claustral, which means they raise their first workers entirely on their own. Others aren't. And if you get that wrong and treat a queen like she doesn't need feeding when she does, the colony won't make it. So before anything else, know your species. For Lasius Niger, you leave her alone. She already has everything she needs. This is where people overcomplicate things, because this setup is genuinely simple. You add water to the tube. You hold it in place with cotton, and that creates a stable humidity source. The empty space becomes the chamber. That's it. No substrate, no feeding, no large setup. And this is the mistake most beginners make. They try to upgrade too early. But a small colony in a large space doesn't thrive. It hides, it stresses, it slows down. At this stage, simple isn't a compromise, it's correct. Once she's in that tube, your role changes, because now the best thing you can do is very little. Put her somewhere dark, keep it quiet, keep the temperature stable, and then walk away. You might check once a week, and when you do, it can feel like nothing's happening. She will sit still, she will barely move, and this is where people start to panic, because that's normal. Sometimes she'll move the brood around, sometimes she'll look completely inactive. That doesn't mean anything is wrong, it just means she's doing exactly what she should be doing. And then the exciting bit, the first workers arrive and everything shifts. Now the colony needs energy. So you start introducing very small amounts of sugar, just a tiny drop is enough, and alongside that, protein, because that's what drives growth. But again, this is where restraint matters. Too much food causes problems. Too little, they'll manage. So you keep it light, you keep it controlled, and you watch. If you are keeping native species, the seasons aren't just background. They directly control how your colony behaves. In spring and summer, you'll see growth, more movement, more feeding, more brood. Everything speeds up. But as you move into autumn, that starts to change. The colony slows down, they eat less, and activity drops. Then winter comes, and this is the part that catches people out, because the colony can look almost inactive. Very little movement, sometimes no visible change at all. But this isn't something going wrong, this is diapause. It's a natural resting phase. Their metabolism slows, development pauses, and the colony conserves as much energy as possible. And it is essential. If you try to keep them active all year, keeping them warm, feeding constantly, you are not helping them. You're actually stressing them out. So over time that weakens the colony. So instead you follow their rhythm. You reduce disturbance. You stop expecting growth. You let them slow down, because ant keeping isn't about forcing progress. It's about understanding when progress is supposed to happen. The colony grows a bit and the instinct is to give them more space, a bigger nest, more chambers, something that looks closer to what you see online. But early on that usually slows things down, because ants don't spread out to fill space, they compress. They stay close to brood, close to humidity, close to each other, and when you give them too much space too early, they don't use it. They hide in one corner, they struggle to regulate conditions, and growth often stalls. So instead of asking, can they move? You ask, are they actually running out of room? And there are a few clear signs. The tube is consistently full of ants, brood is pressed up against the cotton, workers are regularly exploring outside looking for space, not just occasionally, consistently. That's when you upgrade. And when you do, you don't force the move. You connect the new space and let them decide, because a healthy colony will move when it's ready, and until then, smaller is not a limitation, it's stability. This is the part that catches almost everyone, because everything in this hobby pushes you to act. You'll want to check on them, you'll want to adjust things, you'll want to help, and most of the time that's exactly what causes problems. Opening the tube too often, feeding too early, moving them before they are ready, changing setups because something feels wrong. But early on, ant keeping is mostly about restraint. You are not building the colony, they are. Your role is to give them stable conditions and then step back. And that, to most people, can feel quite uncomfortable because progress is slow, sometimes invisible. You can go days, even weeks, where it feels like nothing is happening, but things are happening. Eggs are developing, larvae are growing, the colony is establishing itself in ways you can't always see. And the keepers who succeed with this hobby aren't the ones who do the most, they are the ones who interfere the least, because at the very start, success looks like almost nothing happening. And learning to trust that is what separates people who stick with this from people who give up too early. So that's how you start, simple, controlled, and patient. And we touched briefly on nuptial flights earlier, that moment where everything actually begins. In the next video, I'm going to go into that properly, when they happen, how to spot them, and how to actually find your first queen. Because once you understand that part, this whole process becomes a lot clearer. Drop a comment and let me know where you are in your journey. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Let's make it fantastic. Farewell.